Neighbors say the latest contamination concerns around an East Side company has them terrified. But Madison-Kipp Corporation officials say they shouldn't be. The night team's Theo Keith reports city officials are now looking at shutting down a nearby water well as the investigation continues.
Mark, the Madison Water Utility says tests have never found the contaminant PCE in its nearby well. But now there are two opposing reports about the threat PCEs pose to the drinking water. An expert for a group of neighbors suing Madison-Kipp says there's a risk. The company asks, where's the evidence?
It's terrifying. It is so terrifying.
Michelle Ayers moved to Madison's East Side for its reputation. Now she says her neighborhood may not be the best place for her two kids.
You can see they play in the mud, they're in the dirt, they're all over the place. So the thought of having something in your house that isn't safe is really terrifying.
Her house is one of the latest in the neighborhood to get a mitigation system. The DNR found harmful PCE vapors in small amounts under her home, and the pipe is designed to keep them away from her family.
But of course now we're watching the Kipp situation very closely.
Tom Heikkinen of the Madison Water Utility says he's waiting for a new round of DNR results that'll show the level of groundwater contamination and whether it's flowing the few blocks between the Kipp site and City Well number 8. The tests could shut down the well for the summer.
The science is what will be our guide. The water supply is safe. We're going to continue to make sure it's safe. And we're not going to do anything to put anyone at risk.
Before that decision, which could take months, there are two conflicting studies about how bad the contamination is. A group of neighbors suing Kipp produced a 67-page report with an expert witness who called it one of the worst he'd ever seen. But the company says there's not a lick of evidence for that. Kipp has its own 132-page report, which shows a much smaller impact for neighbors. The two sides are scheduled for an August federal trial in Madison.
Just a great sense of community, but completely tainted.
Neighbor Ayers says the concerns have her wanting to move out.
Are my kids at risk? Are they going to get sick? Are we going to get sick? What's this going to do to our health, and how can we find a safer place to live?
If the city decides there is a concern and shuts down its well, water utility officials say in a normal year there won't be an impact. But if there's a drought this year or a major industrial fire that would require a lot of water, they would have to put water restrictions into effect, Mark.
Now, in the meantime, Theo, what is Kipp doing to clean up the contamination that is there?
Well, Kipp is digging up the soil in 5 neighboring yards this spring where contaminants showed up. A company spokesman says the DNR installed those mitigation pipes you saw in the story at 1/10 of actionable levels, and they don't mean that there's a health threat. But the Neighborhood Association president told me tonight that neighbors want more answers from the DNR about this. They want to have a public meeting, and they want to see a map of the contamination so they know if it's under their homes.
All right, it's a story we'll have to keep our eye on.